Hello and welcome to the MTG Profits podcast, episode 7. We are glad and happy to have you join us here to talk about Magic the Gathering and all the financial news. My name is Andy, and I'm joined as always with my other host, Devin.
Hey guys.
Ready to talk about some Magic?
yeah, for sure. We've got, I guess we'll start with our news items before we move on. First news item for the day is, I guess a little bit of a sad but sort of expected piece of news. Wizards has officially pulled the plug on Brawl, which was their one of their multiplayer formats. It was relatively recently started, I think around the time of the Battle Bond booster boxes, I believe, is when Brawl came out. And so they have already, as of a month ago, already pulled the plug on that. So it's kind of unfortunate.
So Brawl was basically the same thing as Commander, but it had a rotating set of cards.
That's right. You know, it's sort of understandable why it would fail. I think the Commander has a lot of appeal to a casual audience, and the last thing a casual audience wants is rotating cards. They don't want to sit here and have to worry about keeping their Commander style deck, standard legal, for goodness sake. So, it was sort of a dumb idea to begin with, in my opinion. But once they had it, they should have stuck with it for, I would say, at least a year, instead of 60 or 90 days where they abandoned it almost instantly. And I'm afraid that with the death of Brawl, other cooler formats also see their demise or lack of support, like the two-headed giant and stuff, and because the Brawl had some cards in it that were really good for the two-headed, and I actually enjoy two-headed giant when I get to play it.
I agree. I totally like the two-headed giant. I actually prefer to play that in events now than standard drafts or even or sealed events.
It's just so much faster. You don't have to sit there for hours queuing up and waiting.
Sure. I like the team aspect. You can play with a friend, and it's just a little more enjoyable, I think.
Yeah, I think not only that, too. I think having two players on a team seems to slightly reduce your risk of mana flood or mana screw. Mm-hmm. At least someone else might be able to carry the weight a little bit. And, and then the other player who gets mana screwed early can come out guns blazing later. I feel it's sort of, one of the things that I hate about the game is the mana screw, the mana flood. It's a very real problem. And, and people think, oh, you're not building your decks properly. Well, I've been at it for a while. No, that's not the issue. It's a real problem. It's an actual issue.
It does seem to happen, and no matter how you construct your deck, how much land, your ratios, all this sort of stuff. I mean, even the best decks it's gonna happen. I can't tell you how many times I've
deny it. You can have your deck with a solid 24 mana, perfectly curved out, and still get flooded or screwed. It's just really, it's almost a weakness inherent in the game. I think it's I don't know. It just irritates you. But I feel that the two-headed sort of avoids some of that. And it's fun, and it's fast. So even though Brawl in and of itself was kind of a dumb idea of a rotating commander format, I actually like that it produced cards for two-headed. So
yeah, I do like that aspect of it. Yeah, I never played Brawl, I'll be honest. And honestly, I don't really have much interest in playing it either. I don't know. It seems like why did you need to take Commander and just make another flavor of it?
I'm sure it was just to sell packs. I mean, it's
sure.
If you have a rotating Commander, if they could, there's so many more people that play casually than play, competitively. And Commander is a substantial block of that. In fact, it drives a lot of the casual prices, and I think that Wizards wanted to really try to capitalize on that casual market by producing a format that rotated. Because they love rotating formats, that's how they sell the most cards. But it just doesn't work for, they try to take something and pervert it, into
it does feel like
an unfortunate, sad, unwanted stepchild. So,
yeah.
that no one loves,
that.
and then they discard it instantly.
Discard target stepchild.
Exactly. So, I'm not really sad to see Brawl go. I'm sad to see the cards that it generated go.
Yeah,
so.
I agree with that. It does sound though that Wizard might, they've hinted that they'll bring it back in the future, but we'll see.
I wouldn't hold my breath.
Yeah.
But, I just like multiplayer. I like when they produce multiplayer cards. I like anything that promotes that. So, I hate to see it go. That's why I like the supplemental sets, too.
I really enjoy the supplemental
conspiracies and all that.
They've done a great job. I really like Battle Bond. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, good cards.
I guess along those lines, too, speaking of Commander, I mean, I've seen a lot of local players switch from being more casual, kitchen table, 60-card kind of decks to Commander. And that's what they play exclusively now, a lot of people.
I think part of the reason is because the lack of rotation. They have their cards, they like it, they can slowly build that deck more powerful over time. As better cards become available, they slot out a card, slot in a new card. I personally don't enjoy the length of time that Commander games take, but I understand the appeal of it. I understand why people like it, even though I feel that the games just drag too long.
Exactly. I really don't want to devote that much time to a game. So.
Yeah, but I understand the appeal.
So goodbye, Brawl.
Exactly.
See ya.
You and sayonara.
Really care. Not a whole lot, anyway.
This is going the way of Kamigawa.
Exactly.
Never to return, in all likelihood.
Exactly. Adios.
Yep.
I think the next news item, I had an item here, and I was going to make an announcement earlier this week, but you're still in time to take advantage here. We've seen, as always, there's price fluctuations up and down on cards, and with anything I feel that's, especially uncommons, when I see uncommons start to rise in prices, especially, when we're talking $3, $4 for uncommons, then I start paying attention, and in most cases, I feel that's the time to sell. So
for sure.
We saw some fluctuations this week in some recent cards, so I would highly recommend that you sell. First off, the Curious Obsession. This was from Rivals of Ixalan. It's an uncommon blue card, 1 mana. It's an enchant aura. It's very similar to Curiosity, except it gives you a +1/+1, and you have to sacrifice it if you didn't attack with that creature. But this card is now going for around $3, so that's a decent price increase. And the other card is from Ixalan. It's a Merfolk. This is 1 mana for a 1/1 creature. It's a Siren Pirate Wizard. I guess Merfolk could be all of those things. It's flying, and it does have a unique ability. You can pay 1 blue and sacrifice it to counter target spell or ability that targets you or a creature you control, which is pretty good, and I'd say somewhat unique. At least.
Yeah, it's a nice ability. It's similar to that Curse Catcher that we've seen in the past.
Exactly.
And that one's gone up quite a bit.
Yeah.
And but you're right, this card's selling for $4.49. The buy list price on this is $2.50 at Channel Fireball. So they have some confidence that this card's going up. And that's an amazing sell. I would definitely unload as many of these as I can get in my hands. Absolutely that Curiosity one, that Curious Obsession. That's an instant sell, every single one I have. The Siren Stormcaller as well. I can't imagine this. You know what I think it is? I think it's because they're both from sets that were not opened very much of. Yeah. The Ixalan and the Rivals of Ixalan, these were not sets that were cracked open to the high heavens like Kaladesh and Aether Revolt. Mm-hmm. They didn't have any lottery cards. It was the first time in a while that there were no lottery cards, so people weren't chasing after the expeditions and the masterpieces. So I think there were not, and the cards weren't that great, honestly, in either Ixalan or Rivals. So I think the lack of supply is what's driving the high cost of these cards. So yeah, I agree. The great sell calls, great.
Yeah, get rid of them both.
Everybody should start dumping instantly.
Sell it right away. The Curious Obsession from Ixalan, from Rivals of Ixalan, and the Siren Storm Tamer from Ixalan. Both. Yep. Get rid of those as soon as you can.
Yep.
So now, hurry!
Very good. I know earlier this week we both went to the trouble of downloading and played some of the arena, and I know you had started into it a little bit earlier than I did, but
yeah,
I did eventually.
The last episode.
Yeah, I did eventually go ahead and download that, and I have played some of it. I probably put, I'd probably put like 2 hours into it of time, and probably played about, I don't know, probably 15 matches pretty easily, and got a pretty good sense for it and what it's all about.
I've been let's see, I played a lot this past week. I probably played, oh gosh, I don't know how many games at this point, maybe 40 to 50 games or so, and I've gone up to, I don't know what it's called, bronze level rank or whatnot.
Yeah, I'm a bronze 4 or something right now.
Yeah, so I think I feel like I've had a pretty good impression of the game at this point.
How much money have you put into it yet?
You know, I've only spent $5. I did the bundle pack. The intro pack for $4.99, which nets you, what is it, 5 and 19 boosters? I think.
Yeah.
And
they give you some of their in-game
2,500 gems.
Yeah. The gems are their in-game currency.
Really great. Yeah, so you either can get gold from which you earn through matches, or I guess you earn through the
winning.
What do they call them? It's winning, but it's through the what do they call them? Quests or whatever.
Daily quests.
The daily quests and the other little goals that they have. And the gems, I think the only way to get the gems is either to buy them, or I think maybe you can win those through the drafting and the other actual events.
Yeah, I haven't done any actual events yet, but that's my understanding as well. Gems are like currency, like riot points for League of Legends or things of that nature.
Exactly. Yeah. So what did you like about Magic?
Yeah, there were several things that I did enjoy. One was I found deck creation very easy, so no trouble there. It was very simple. And I also found that the games launched really quickly, and it would take maybe 15 seconds to get into a game.
Yeah.
So you get into a game very fast, and the gameplay I felt was reasonably good. I thought it was relatively speedy. You could add stops when you wanted them, so it could pause before the end step, things of that nature. So there were some levels of control that you could add that I felt were warranted. And so those were my takeaway things. I really just enjoyed how quick and easy it was to get into a game. I thought that was probably the strong suit.
Yeah, I agree. I like you said, I probably waited no more than 15 seconds to get into a game. And, different times of day, late at night, it didn't really seem to matter. I could hop into a game fairly quickly, and didn't have any problems with that. As you said, the Match Page King was probably the strongest suit in that as far as the speed to get into a game. I thought the overall interface was fine. It was, easy to use. I thought it was still, I guess, not to get to it too twice, but just the steps I thought were still some room for improvement there, and being able to stop it at different phases and that. I know initially it took me a little bit to understand where to put the stops, and I did mess up a couple games because of that.
Yeah, I think there's always a learning curve, no matter how easy they make it. Some things are always gonna get missed.
Exactly.
A couple of times I did something similar where I thought only one creature was attacking, and then I failed to block properly, and things of that nature. But overall, I felt the gameplay was good. I thought it was relatively fast. I think it's a relatively good iteration. It feels a lot to me like the Duel of the Planeswalkers.
I agree. Yeah, it's very similar to that. I like the little automatic pass button on the bottom. You could, if you were done, you could just hit pass, and it would pass your whole turn and you're done.
Yeah.
And I think another good thing, and you can't overlook this, is that the whole thing was free. You don't have to spend any money on this if you don't want. You can just download it, and that's it. You can just play.
I think maybe that's a good segue into what you didn't like about it.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, I've got a big list of dislikes.
Yeah, I think the first one is a little bit of a paywall. I think you're right, you don't have to pay, but I think, like, in order to play anything of reasonable, you're not going to get the cards that you want for free. You're not even going to get close to it. And, I think, unfortunately, like, initially I started playing, and, you're getting matched up with people that have substantially more powerful constructed decks. They should start, like, with leagues for people that have the intro decks, I think. And, because, when you're sitting there with an intro deck, and they're matching you up with these guys, and they've got, I played one game where this guy dropped 2 of those new black demons on me, and all kinds of stuff. I was like, this is crazy with these mythic drops. Yeah, he dropped a couple of those in the same game, and then he had one of those, the sagas that was black, and had all these blockers, and sacked them, and made more 6/6 flying demons, and an intro deck is not going to compete with that. So I really only won like maybe 30% of the games played. Out of 6 games, I'd win 2, and it didn't really come down to play. It was really just card availability. They had cards available, I didn't.
Exactly. I think that kind of sucks.
They need a matchmaking system that basically matches tiered players at the same level, or the same level of deck ability. I don't know, somehow.
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to say, I think you had kind of 2 points right there that were really good. Was that the paywall and the matchmaking system, while fast, seems to not work as far as skill level.
They throw you in with somebody with a hugely powerful deck. I almost think maybe they should have a point system for decks. Like certain cards are certain points, and like you could build a deck with 500 points, or 1,000 points, or 10,000 points, or unlimited points. Yeah. Just to match decks of similar point values together, so that that there's you're not facing turn 1 Pelt Collector, turn 2 the little elf that give the 2/2 hasty elf. Turn 3, Sentry, so before you know it, that Pelt Collector on turn 3 is like 3/3 trample, and he's already got 2 of them. And,
exactly.
They need some better matchmaking system.
Exactly. You're not going to start off with an amazing deck like that. I mean, I think you get, 5 pre-constructed decks to start.
And they're pretty awful.
And, yeah, I would agree. Overall, I think the decks were...
they were
pretty bad. Pretty bad. I'd say the green deck was, I thought... the best, maybe. The green and the red deck were maybe the best ones. Other than that,
they're not remotely competitive, though. So, so that's the problem.
They're not. They're not. You're not going to be very competitive with these introductory decks. You are going to have to get more cards. You're going to have to win games. You're going to have to complete the quests. You're going to have to open packs and slowly build to a deck that is actually competitive.
Which brings us to another huge detractor. No trading. No consuming of cards to convert them into other cards. So you can't trade with your friends. You can't trade with strangers. There's no market for them other than buying gems and then buying booster packs.
Exactly.
And there's 8 cards in a booster pack. So it's not even 15 cards. And it's unfortunate that there's no way to trade to get the cards you want.
Exactly.
If you're sitting there, you want some sort of mythic rare. If you're trying to build, for example, some deck that has 4 Pelt Collectors, you're going to open 200 packs of Guilds of Ravnica in order to get that, and the packs are basically $1.50 instead of $3.
How much money or how much grinding are you going to have to do to get that far?
Oh, you could never grind.
No, impossible. You're going to end up spending money on these cards and hope that you get it.
I think winning 10 games earns you enough of their in-game gold to buy 1 booster pack by winning 10 games.
And they do have different rewards. So there's the daily rewards, and there's every so many wins you can open a pack, and so there are ways to get packs.
I almost think that's just a way to keep you engaged and to keep you logging in every day. I think they try to keep you coming back for more, so to speak, just to keep your footprint active on the servers and playing. Because then it helps games start faster, which is smart. I don't disagree with that.
Absolutely.
I wish there was some way to trade.
Exactly. How are you going to get these cards for your deck? There's no store to buy individual cards. You can't trade.
You couldn't even destroy cards.
You can't
like you
destroy
couldn't,
them.
Yeah, to get other cards. Like even if they had a trading down system where you destroy a rare to get an uncommon, or destroy an uncommon to get a common, or or some system to get cards you actually want.
You're pretty screwed as far
You
as
really
deck
are.
making. I mean,
You really are. For a game where the deck making is so critical, and you have 60 card decks, you need a way to acquire these cards.
I mean, at this point, you're really going to have to make something with the starting decks that you get, or the ones you unlock, because that gives you at least a theme and a set of cards to start with. So it's either you're going to build off of those and improve them, or recombine those to make different decks. But it's still not going to be great. Not until
it's going to take a while.
Cards. Yeah.
And then the really amazingly bad thing is, once you've got a deck, so say for the sake of argument, you spend about $100 US and get about 200 packs worth. And actually, no, a booster pack's about $1.50, I think, is what it comes out to. So you're probably going to need about 200 boosters. So you're probably going to have to spend about, what is that, like $130 or something?
Yeah.
$140. $140. You're going to get maybe a couple of decent decks, nothing great, and those cards are going to rotate. So you don't even have a way to get rid of them, to trade them away, to get new cards in Standard. So and they don't really have support for any Eternal formats. They don't have any Modern support. It's all Standard all the time right now, and that may change, but at current, it's not.
Exactly, and I guess one important note too: this is still an open beta, so we're not even at the final version of whatever this is. So there's could definitely be more changes to come.
I hope they add trading as one of the changes.
Yeah, we need to do trading, and I was looking at. Well, I really wanted to make a Thallid deck. I'm like, okay, well, wait a second. I don't have any Thallid cards. I have a couple, maybe. How am I going to get any? I guess I won't.
Get ready to open a whole bunch of packs.
Yeah. And there is an option. You can, in packs, get, what do they call them? Wild cards? So you can convert them to a card, but I guess it's got to be a card that you already own.
Yeah, you already have to own the card, and then you can make duplicate copies of that card, but you have to open like 6 booster packs to get 1 wild card.
Exactly. There is a certain system to that. And so many packs will get you a rare, and so many will get you a mythic. But
that's a tough road to hoe right there.
Exactly. So I think, like you said, I mean, one of the best things about Magic is kind of the creativity of that, and making decks and experimenting with that and trying new cards. And you really can't do any of that.
Not really.
Not easily, anyway.
No, not really. So what else did you not like?
Oh gosh, where do I stop on this?
I got another
a whole
biggie.
Bunch on my list. I know what you're gonna say. Go for it.
it's the friend list. There's none. There's no friends.
That is unbelievable.
You can't play against people you know.
Unbelievable. Oh, you want to play with your friend? Sorry.
Good luck with that. Yeah, it's funny because I can't remember the last time you couldn't have a buddy list in a game, or even a chat list. You can't even chat with your friends online. You can't even see if they're online.
It's unbelievable. I can't. Words cannot be found for this.
Yeah, it's so.
That should have been a must-have feature. That should have been day one.
Yeah. I don't know how they possibly got as far as they've gotten without having a buddy list of some sort. It is so egregious. It's like having a telephone that doesn't have a speaker so that you can hear from it. It's like why would you have a telephone without a speaker? Yeah,
it is awful.
It's crazy.
I just can't understand it. I don't know why you wouldn't have that.
It's truly unbelievable. It's like from the Twilight Zone. You'd think, oh, they're just wrong. That can't be. But no, legit. You can't talk to your friends. No, you can't play games against them.
That's kind of one of the biggest things about card games and like this. Really, any sort of games. You want to play the games with your friends.
And it's a competitive card game with interaction with other humans, and you can't even interact with the players you're playing against. You can't even type to them.
I noticed that as well.
You can tell them like 4 things, like with these little emoticons or whatever. It's like good game or well played.
I can kind of see a little bit on that because then you screen out any of this trolling and people being nasty. But
you know what though? In order to have a full-fledged experience, you need to have trolls.
I think you still have to.
You have to expose yourself.
To take the good with the bad on that one.
Yeah, you sure do. You can't just have no communication. No communication, no friend list, no buddies, no games with people you know.
Terrible.
You can't even communicate with the people you are playing against. It's like a completely antisocial experience. You might as well be playing against bots.
Exactly. Exactly. Just play against the computer because it's the same experience. You don't know.
Yeah. You might as well be playing against bots and be happy.
Yeah. So, what a waste.
They've got a long way to go.
Yeah, and I think in all the other online versions that we played against, what is it like? There was Duels of the Planeswalkers. There was what is it, M15, M16?
Yeah.
There was
every time, of course, that came out.
Yeah, they had like their own other online version of that, and those all, as far as I recall, had
we had buddy lists,
player versus player on that.
We had buddy lists.
And that was fine
because we could play against each other. Right?
Yeah, exactly. We did that on those, but this one,
I really sincerely hope they intend to fix that. I cannot imagine a system in which they would not.
Yeah,
but,
I think that
just seems so improbable.
Without a doubt, the biggest, I'd say, fault of this game.
I'd say that's number 1. Number 2 is lack of trading and terrible, card acquisition challenges.
Like you said, it's a collectible card game, which is you can't collect. So,
exactly. It's just
so it's a card game, I guess. I don't know.
So I guess in summary, there were some good things.
Well, one other thing I'd like to point out before you hop into that, is the different modes. So I think in some of the previous ones too, we had two-headed giant mode. I think there might have been some others too.
There was even I think like at one point there might have been an arch enemy mode even.
Yeah,
but you're right. There were different ways to play, and right now not so many.
They added. Well, let's see. They added Singleton. They have more events. That's something a little new.
Yeah, they have ways to sell you more. They have ways to sell you packs.
Yeah. But I like some of those other game modes. I thought those were fun. It's another way to do team making and play online, but not.
I'm cautiously optimistic that they will fix that as well. I think right now maybe they're trying to funnel as many players as they can into the because they want games to fire. They want people to stay engaged. They want to be able to test it to make sure there's not too many technical glitches. So I can understand why they don't want people sitting in queues for 20 minutes trying to get a Brawl game going.
Sure.
So
sure. And I guess one other thing I had too is, what was it? I guess since this is open beta, I think the verdict is still out on what's going to happen to the cards.
Good point. Yeah, good point.
Are your cards gone? Do you get to keep the cards? What about money you've spent in the game? What's
going to happen? Yeah, it's a really good point. I don't know if they're going to reset after the open beta is concluded, or if you're going to get to keep the cards you collected. These are all very good questions, and they have not been forthcoming. There have been like posts on Reddit of what people say is going to happen, but realistically, Reddit's just full of fools and other. Really, it's like a troll haven and place for internet idiocy.
Underneath the bridge somewhere.
Yeah. Front page of the internet, as long as the front page is a butthole. It's like, great grief.
Oh, goodness. Oh, man. So what's your overall verdict on?
I think realistically, I would play it just because it makes playing Magic really easy, really fast, and I could see myself hopping on for 20 or 30 minutes and just banging out a few games. I don't see myself putting a lot of money into it, and I just don't like the idea of digital cards that have no real-world value, no way to collect and enjoy them. So, I could see myself spending maybe $50, over the lifetime of the product. So,
I totally agree with you. I mean, I think this game would be great for a beginner, someone who's fairly
great for
inexperienced
teaching. Again,
or needs to learn.
Yeah,
Yeah,
big plus on
I
the
think that'd
intro
be
of
great.
teaching people
I
how to
mean,
play.
it gives you a little tutorial,
Yeah.
and
it
it's
was decent.
fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could be up and playing actual game very quickly. I
Yeah.
mean, probably within a half hour, you'd be ready to go.
Yeah.
And
So it's not a bad way to teach new people to play, because sometimes teaching people is tough. So
it is
you
tough.
say, hey, you know what? People see you playing, you give them a deck, you say, here's a deck. They don't know how to play, you're like, oh, check out the Magic Arena, it's online, it's free.
Yep.
You can learn how to play there, and then we'll play. That kind
Exactly. I think a great teaching tool. I think for people who are more experienced or who are looking for other aspects of the game, like the collection or other game modes or anything like that, I don't really see the appeal. Maybe a quick game here and there, like you said, but otherwise, I don't really know why it's going to hold your attention.
I agree.
And I really wonder too, where's the future of this product?
I think they're just trying to move as many people as they possibly can onto it. I think we've talked about this before. If they, by the time they sell their booster boxes to distributors, they probably sell them for about $37. They probably sell them for about $1 a booster pack.
Yeah.
And booster packs probably cost 20 cents to produce, so they're probably generating 80 cents per booster pack, and then they could sell, they can make 80 cents a booster pack selling to distributors, and then the distributors sell to stores, and the stores sell to the consumer. So if they lost, and if they say there's 8 to 12 million Magic players, so if you figure each player is going to spend, say, $100 a month on Magic cards, and they could lose 50% of every single paper Magic player, every single one. They could lose half of all of them, and if they keep half of their players, they're still going to make more direct selling to the consumer for $1.50 a booster pack. They're going to make twice as much money as they,
crazy.
As they do now.
Crazy. Yeah.
So they could lose half of their customer base, and I think that's why they'd want to do it. They're sitting here thinking, wow, these terrible digital games like Hearthstone are eating our lunch, and they kind of are. And
Exactly.
They're sitting here thinking we should have a piece of this pie. They really should have made Magic Online a decent product, and they would have been.
I mean, you're hopping on the bus pretty late here in this arena.
And they're just trying to bilk. And like I said, it's easier for them to change cards, to ban cards, it's so easy to just make a little change here, a little tweak there.
Yep.
When in a digital, format, it's so cheap and so easy for them.
Exactly.
There's no cost of goods sold. There's no distribution costs. There's nothing. They're just literally making money for free. Other than product development costs, they have no other costs.
Development. I mean, you do have some, infrastructure costs with, server space and things like that.
I think comparatively, you're right. It's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think overall, there's no good reason why they haven't developed a quality online product that is competitive with some of these other ones.
Other than just poor management. And
exactly. I think that's been kind of the history, I think, of Magic the Gathering online, is that it's just suffered from really...
It's so awful.
It has a poor track record, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's so awful. It's so poorly executed. And the Wizards have such a wretched track record of producing a quality digital product, and unfortunately, even a quality paper product at this point.
Exactly. You can't get it right either way.
Yeah, it's like, if your goal is to, have your cards transform into, tortilla chips an hour after you open them, then, boy, they've got some sets they'd like to sell you.
Man.
Got some Amonkhet here for you. Some, I mean, holy cow.
Yeah, you might get some more value out of the chips.
It's so bad that you almost wonder if it's intentionally bad. Where it's like, we're going to make our stuff so bad that people want to move online so that they migrate.
Man, I better go play Hearthstone. Go on.
Yeah, it's so awful.
Exactly. Well, it comes back to, like, what's going to happen with this? I mean, is this just like Duels of the Planeswalkers or one of those other ones where, it's around for, 6 months or whatever, and then that's it? Or is this going to be truly expanded into something else? Like, is this their future online product? Or is this...
I think they're hoping it will be. So,
okay.
And I hope that they, like we talked about, integrate some better quality, capabilities.
They got a long ways to go, though.
They do. They got a long ways to go. It's not a full-fledged experience, and to compete with established games like Hearthstone that do what Duel of the Planeswalkers does, but does it better, you need to offer the players what the players want. The players want to trade their damn cards.
Exactly.
So,
you have to give up some of those functionality. Even at
you have to not want to rip every penny out of your consumer. You have to let the consumer get some value for their money.
Exactly. I mean, and Hearthstone came out in 2014, and it's 2018 now. Yeah. So, they had time. There's been time to get online and get something like this, but
I don't know. Got a long way to go. We'll see. I would not hold my breath, but I'll say cautiously optimistic. How about that?
Yeah. We'll see what happens when it's fully released. So we'll check back in on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you have some picks for the week?
I do. I have a couple. I'll go kind of quick. This is one from Guilds of Ravnica, a new one here. It just caught my eye the other day, and I read the text, and then I was like, oh, this does sound like it has potential. This is Bounty Agent. It is a white creature card, human soldier, 1 colorless, 1 white mana, 2/2 creature. It's a human soldier, vigilance. Sack the Bounty Agent to destroy target legendary permanent that's an artifact, creature, or enchantment. That's why it's that ability that really struck me from this creature, was because it can be used to destroy a variety of things. Now, granted, it's very specific. It's got to be legendary, but in light of Dominara, which had a ton of legendary things, and I'm sure more legendary stuff to come in the future. I could see this maybe as a sideboard card, maybe?
Yeah, it's not a bad sideboard card.
Yeah.
Seems to me like M19 had a lot of legendary stuff.
Quite a few legendary.
Yeah. I think they busted out the new legendary border and whatnot. They wanted to highlight that by having a ton of legendary stuff.
So I could see this guy. Right now he's going for about 43 cents. I could see him easily in the future going up maybe $2.
I'm seeing this sucker for a quarter online.
Exactly. So I think he's got potential. This is another one where I'm looking for unique abilities, and that's a fairly powerful ability that has a very specific kind of target set. So
not bad.
I think he's not bad.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's got some great sideboard card there, I think.
Yeah, I think that's where he'd fit in.
Yeah, absolutely. Excellent.
Is there something what's your first
pick?
So
my first pick, and the pick that I am a little bit more confident about, is a card that, again, great. I keep going back to Commander and casual format cards, and this is Helm of the Host. Speaking of legendary, this is a legendary
card.
Yeah, legendary equipment. Speaking of legendary things, and it's a 4-mana casting cost for colorless mana, or void mana, as they say. And it says at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that is a copy of the equipped creature, except the token isn't legendary if the equipped creature is legendary. So you can essentially every turn you're getting a free copy of your best creature.
Excellent card.
Yeah,
that
creature gains haste and does not leave at the end of the turn. So
super powerful.
It's so good. And again, I cannot think of a commander deck really that doesn't want this, unless it's a creatureless deck. Every deck wants this card. And
Great card.
It's a little pricey to equip. It's $5 to equip. Yeah. But man, is it worth it. So this card is currently going for a little under $3. So, yeah. I've already pulled the trigger on these. I do have a play set now, and I'm looking to get another, but I'm going to wait until I'm hoping to pick them up around $250. It's a Dominaria card, so it's pretty recent, and I know that Dominaria boxes are sitting in droves in distributors, in distributorships. So I want to say that I think that's a great card. A lot of fun to play. Casuals love it, and I think casuals have it when it comes to long-term value.
I think that's going to be a great card. Definitely going to go up. It reminds me a lot of the Mimic Bat, in a way.
It does. I think it's... Yeah, it does. The Mimic Bat's really good. I think that's when creatures die,
When it dies, you can put it on the vat and make copies of it. This one doesn't require the dying. Although, I guess it's only your creatures, where the vat could potentially be anybody's creature.
Oh, it could be.
Yeah. But still very good. Very good, though.
Yeah. Excellent.
I'm going to cheat a little bit and do two together because they're almost... They feel to me opposites of each other. So this will be my last two picks here. The first one from Core Set 2019, Isolate. It's 1 white mana. It's an instant. It's a rare card. Exile target permanent with converted mana cost 1.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people, when I saw this, I know some people I talked to in the draft, when the pre-release when this comes out, this is terrible. This is why would I ever use this kind of card?
I'm thinking Aether Vial. Is the Aether Vial one? A-E-T-H-E-R. Is the Aether Vial like a 1 mana casting cost card? Let me look at the Aether Vial.
That's a good question.
It is. The Aether Vial's a 1 mana casting cost card.
Remember, target permanent, so it'll get rid of whatever. I think I agree that it's very specific. You know, this is going back into specific things, but this is also another thing we've never seen. I think anything quite like this.
Yeah, this is a good card.
It's one
gets rid of mana dorks,
and it gets rid of any little things. Yeah. It could be artifacts, it could be creatures, enchantments, whatever.
Yeah, this is great. My first target for this would be to get rid of an Aether Vial. Yep. Aether Vial is really the entire way that like some of these merfolk decks and things it's their entire gas. So you could just jack that right away.
Exactly.
You got the game on lock. You know.
Exactly. Any of these little weenie decks or something.
Yeah. Any ramp technique or
Yep.
That's great.
Get rid of it. And for going for 55 cents or less, it's going to go up. I think it's definitely going to go up in the future.
Let me take a look and see how much these boys are going for. Let's see. Oh gosh. Let's see. Isolate, Core Set 19. Oh, okay. I was looking at the pre-release. Yeah. Holy cow. You can get some of these for about less than a quarter.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh boy. This is going on my buy list today.
Yeah.
I'm going to be sucking some of these
I mean, these are... You're going to use it. And the other side of the coin, from the exact same set, from Core Set 19, it almost feels to me like the black version of this, Infernal Reckoning, which is 1 black mana, instant, and it's exile target colorless creature. You gain life equal to its power.
Oh, wow.
So, it's similar.
Great against Eldrazi.
That's exactly, and maybe that was an answer to Eldrazi. So, goodbye, big Eldrazi.
Oh, that is great.
You're gone. You're any sort of colorless creature, goodbye. It's a very harsh and quick way to both remove it and gain life out of it. So, and for 1, I mean, once again, I could see this maybe more as a sideboard card that you're going to hang on to and then use as needed. But still, being able to get rid of something, a colorless creature for 1 at instant speed is great.
Yeah, it's a good one. You know what? This is really juicy because you could sideboard against, artifact strategies, things of that nature, like a worm coil engine or something. Like, oh gosh, this is pretty good too.
Exactly. So they're very similar 2 cards. This one's going for 28 cents or so. You can't beat that. You can even see in the picture the giant demon is crushing a little Eldrazi in his hand.
Oh, in his art.
So,
nice. Yeah, so
it's
that's
almost intentional.
it looks like, yeah, you're right.
That this is
Oh
going to
my
be used
God.
for that. So I'd say pick up both sides of the coin here. Get the Isolate and get the Infernal Reckoning.
Wow, that is some juicy stuff. I really like both of those picks a lot. My final pick is not as exciting a pick, but I think it's actually a useful pick, and I think a lot of times I go back to lands, lands. So this land, it has not a unique effect, but the only other time that this effect has we've seen it is in a commander product. And this card that I'm looking at is from Core 19, and it's called Detection Tower.
Oh, yeah.
The Detection Tower is going for about 75 cents. It does not come into play tapped, so you can generate a void mana from it immediately upon it hitting the battlefield. And you can pay 1 and tap it. And until the end of your turn, all of your opponent's creatures and your opponent themselves lose hexproof. And can't regain hexproof. So basically, it's a way to remove hexproof as a keyword ability from their creatures. And so let's see, to underturn your opponents and
creatures.
So your opponents and their creatures lose hexproof. So it's the only other time we've seen something similar again was a Commander anthology card called Arcane Lighthouse. Arcane Lighthouse does the exact same thing, except it only applies to the creatures and not to the opponent. It says, until end of turn, creatures your opponents control lose hexproof and shroud. So it gets rid of shroud and hexproof. Although, shroud is not a keyword mechanic that Wizards is printing on cards anymore. I didn't know if you were aware of that.
Oh, no, I haven't heard that.
So they've switched entirely over to hexproof for years now. So there's no more shroud as a keyword mechanic. So that's more of a legacy ability. So so that card for a lightly played version is of $3. So the Detection Tower is 75 cents, and it removes the hexproof from your opponent. And so I think this card will probably creep up over time. So 75 cents. I
definitely agree with that.
So I think, in a couple of years, I would say this card will probably be just like the Arcane Lighthouse. The Arcane Lighthouse is about $3, and that came out in Commander 2014. So I would say in about 3 years, I would say the Detection Tower is probably going to be, similarly costed. I actually think the Detection Tower is slightly better. So, however, more available. So there is always.
Yeah. I can see it now too. I'm curious if it's on any of the sideboards here for. Boggles is kind of a big deck and it's been around where you're having all hexproof creatures. I mean, this seems to be perfect against that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep. So that's
I think that's a solid pick. I think it's definitely going to go up.
Yeah, I think over time it's one of those sure shots. So.
Yep.
Very good. So,
awesome.
So I guess in summary, I had the Helm of the Host from Dominaria, 4 mana casting cost, and I had the Detection Tower, which is a land, no casting cost. And you had the Infernal Reckoning, 1 mana casting cost from M19, and the
Isolate from M19 as well.
19 as well. Very good.
And the Bounty Hunter from
That's right.
The new set, Guilds of Ravnica.
Guilds, yeah.
Yes.
Very good. So I think that about covers our episode.
Covers it. Yeah.
But good chatting, and we'll be in